Good to go.
All right, this is the opioid committee, Monday, February 26th, 2024, 5:15-ish. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, Donna Savage,
Here.
Robbie Melton,
Here.
Geraldine Walker,
Here.
Jesse Bowman. Number 3 is approve the minutes of the last meeting held January 22nd, 2024. Those are attached.
I'll make a motion. I second.
Any discussion or questions on those? All four?
Yes. Yes.
Any opposed? And number 4 is discuss the uses of the opioid funds. And one thing we've gotta get done is that, figure out that application so we can get that out to the public so people can start applying.
I worked on one for us, but I've left it in my car. You want me to go get it or wait?
Is it kind of like one that you found online and worked with? Is it
No,
hard to
it's
find
the-
anything?
It's one I kind of adapted from the UMC.
That's what I just told him. UNC cares. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's not hard to fill out and I thought that would be a good one to go by, you know?
I worked on it today.
Did you?
Go get it, but I put it in the wrong bag, so I'll go get it. Mr. Barlow, would you wanna make copies of it?
Yep.
Okay, open the application for wish to apply.
So Lillian was supposed to work on one. I know we have got her so busy. I just never seen her
One
anymore.
off the internet, like the sample thing.
Same one that she did.
Probably kind of sort of.
We can look over it right quick when she brings it in. Let me go. She's gonna bring it up. Go ahead and wait on her hallway to make some copies.
Adrian, the next drug court, is that next Thursday?
It's Wednesday.
Oh, it's next Wednesday?
Yeah, it's this Wednesday in 2 days.
Oh, how come?
We were scheduled to have it last Thursday, but there was a scheduling conflict, and so the judge moved it to this Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
No, it is the 28th, so in 2 days.
At 4 o'clock?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I thought you said the 4th. No, it is at 4, yeah. We have a graduation that day as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which one's graduating?
Adam Jenkins.
Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he finally made it.
Yeah.
Bless his heart.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Is that Anthony, bro?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, tomorrow. Tomorrow. Of according to my daddy tomorrow. He's over there, Robbie.
He's got it.
Okay.
He met me. I got to thinking, it was such a simple application.
Yeah, that UCMC cares is really simple.
And,
Straight and to the point, and
I took out some of the things I thought we didn't need, but we may want to add them back. And
but they only a lot, I think they only do like 5,000, right?
Not sure.
Yeah, I think it's $5 grand.
Sorry, I don't type. I think he's gonna type it up.
Yeah, if you just want to move on, I'll, well, you just can discuss the use of the funds, but I'll, work on this application right here. Oh, did Jens vote on, Jens did vote on that, didn't he, on that last meeting? Okay, sorry, I didn't write that down. Let's move on to number 4, discuss it, we just need to, I'm just gonna type this application out here.
All right, we're back with discussing the uses of the opioid funds. I think it just comes down to how many applications we get and how much we have to use.
Do we need to run it in the paper or
Yeah,
something?
it'd have to be advertised for so long, I don't know what the limits are.
Does it have to be in the paper?
Yes, you legally have to run the paper for 2 weeks.
You can't answer that.
You know, like a time frame on that, it has to be, is it 2 weeks?
I would say 2 weeks, everything else has to be 2 weeks.
I'd say we need to run it at least that long.
Why would we have to run it in the paper, may I ask?
To let the public know. That way, or not just, but, well, all the organizations know that you're, gonna offer grants for the opioid abatement. So it would let everybody know that that's what's happening. Sorry, I'm one of those people that has to have everything opioid ordered.
So who's gonna come up with the ad for the paper?
We can have Taylor, but he doesn't.
You're gonna have her do it,
Yeah.
so Stephanie will.
So that application had to be approved though through the court?
The application,
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so, just the board approval for the application. It's just a normal application. I mean, you can get like a regular application.
Well, we need to approve it tonight so people can start getting it.
So there ain't really anything to vote on that, is there? It's just discussing it.
Until he gets it ready.
I mean, we probably need to do like the same amount for each
basically gonna need,
Mr. Mabry's here, do you want him to go ahead and talk about his?
Hmm?
Yeah, we can do that here. Yeah, you can go ahead, Mr. Mabry, if you'd like to speak.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, I think I was thinking at the last meeting, y'all had asked me to get online and fill out the application that, the SMART, had recommended, and it sounds like you might wanna use a UCMC, so that may be a moot point. But basically, you know, as I said, last month, what we would do is we're proposing to partner with Overton County Recovery Court and develop some type of housing that'll complement a housing complex we already have on Hillham Highway. We've got two-bedroom apartments there. Looking to cut that, well, actually, we've already paid to have the land divided, so we've got some property there that we could build a 3-bedroom home and use that for transitional housing. As folks come in through the recovery court, we would have, or Overton County Recovery Court would have a house manager that would live there free of charge, and then we would get hopefully up to 4 individuals, probably female, that would come in and live in that house and pay a prorated rent based on their income to make it affordable for them. And that would be the folks, I think we discussed, it would be early in the program that would need stable housing. Hopefully, you know, the goal is to get them the graduation rates up higher. Housing's a big factor in keeping these folks. They're, you know, sometimes they'll start in recovery court, and I think they go back into a home that's shared where there's a lot of maybe drug use or not such good habits going on in that house. So if we could get them into this transitional housing, hopefully get them stabilized, and as they progress through, they may have children that they're not able to care for at this time, maybe in DCS custody, working on getting that family reunited, and then they can move over next door to the 2-bedroom and bring the children in, and then hopefully as time goes on, they can maybe get on the waiting list of the housing authority and go from there. But as far as the use of funds, it wouldn't go for any staff time or anything. It would be a brick and mortar money, and then the housing authority would put in some money to help get the property cash flowing and constructed. I do want to say, I had said in the last meeting, I talked about using this for getting some THDA money, but it sounds like this is gonna be a process that's gonna be out of ways. We'll never make it in time for that grant, which is due in March. So that's why I say the housing authority could, I'm pretty confident when my board would wanna match some of the money that you all have to get this developed, because they know, you know, there's such a need for it. And then that's basically it in a nutshell. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is it this? Or do we have more than that? That's the unrestricted. Do you know how much we have, Steve, money?
Restricted and unrestricted, so
Is
we
this
have
the
payments.
unrestricted?
Yes, that would be the unrestricted.
So how much is the restricted?
Give me just a second.
I thought it was in this packet, I don't see it.
Do you have a ballpark figure about what it might cost?
That would depend on what we would build. What I would do is apply course, I wanna get as much money as I can, and then we would adapt in the scenario that I put together using the other template. I had two different options. One would be the full-fledged boarding home, and then if not, we may go, I know Andrea had mentioned there's a need for, studio apartments. Maybe where one individual could live in there on their own and keep it small in size and affordable rent. So for us, it would be the balance of how much money that you may have available, what the housing authority would put together, but we're very flexible, being that it's all brick and mortar. So once I know a dollar amount, I know what I can build for that amount of money. Then we have a couple of options. Of course, the property out on Hillham Highway, it is now deed controlled by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse, but they have verbally told me that they will give us, now that we've divided the lot, paid and had that done, that they'll release that portion that we can build on, because they wanna see, they love the idea that the possibility of opioid money would be constructing something, because the money, there's not a lot of money there, but with the housing authority matching some, it does make it, possibly a viable project. And I do believe, I was talking to Jennifer with the SMART program, I think y'all may have year 2 funding coming up in the next 30 days, so, I think we could do something, depending on how you wanted to, put the money out in the county and how many people you had. You may look at it and say, well, we'd rather do this, but, I wanna try.
I really like the idea of the different bedrooms and then the person that was gonna oversee them.
Right.
I really like that.
Yeah,
idea.
and that gets them when they come through the court system, that gets them housed. And then they can go to the duplex, and then they can go maybe to the housing authority if they've got several children, they could get a 3 or 4 bedroom. And then, as I mentioned last month, we've got a nonprofit that builds houses to sell at a reduced cost for the right reason. Who knows, we could make one of these folks a homeowner, so.
Getting the mother reunited with her children,
Yeah.
to make it such a big plus.
Oh, I agree, and the problem we have there at the housing authority is mom comes in and puts in an application, well, my 3 children are in DCS custody, but they told me if we can get an apartment the right size, I can get the kids back. And then I have to tell her, well, I can't rent you anything but a 1-bedroom apartment. So it's a chicken and the egg kind of thing. With this scenario, she could come into the boarding home. She could move over to the duplex, and that's 2 bedrooms. If she's got 4 kids, the housing authorities is 2 heartbeats per bed room. We have to abide by that. But that duplex, that substance abuse, the state has funded. They don't care how many people's in there, how many kids they've got, but they're going to be uncomfortable. So we get them from there, and then hopefully move them into a 3 or 4 bedroom at the housing authority. And every time somebody moves up, that makes room for somebody else. So it's a constant reoccurring. It's not just helping. If we've got, if we build something with 3 bedrooms, we're not just helping 3 people. For the next 20 years, we may be helping 103.
Yes.
That's the part I like. I think the part that's good for Overton County is, boom, you got instant tax base because you've got a new construction coming up, which, all our scenarios we're thinking of, everything is new construction. We're not buying an existing home, so the money you put into it, I think you'll get that, you'll get your money back after 20 years through the taxes.
That's important, but getting the mother and the kids back together, to me, is the most important.
It's a good feeling. We've been able to do it a few times with different scenarios, but this would definitely get to see a little more of it.
we talked at length at the last meeting about our support of this program and what our partnership could look like. And just from my perspective, as the director of the Recovery Court program here, you know, we turn away applicants a lot if they don't have housing here in Overton County, because that's one of our requirements to come into our program, is to be a resident here in Overton County. And if we had something like this here in Overton County, that would increase the people that we could reach and impact, because we're not having to turn people away because they don't have housing. We have housing that we can put you in, or that we can help get you in. And what makes this partnership so great is because, you know, Ken is gonna have tenants, right? But we're monitoring those tenants. And so someone who might not otherwise be eligible to get housing because of criminal backgrounds or other issues, they can have housing. We're changing their environment. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, if you can't change the person's environment for them, you know, we can give them all the resources and treatment that we have, but if they're going home to a less than desirable environment, it's not going to have a lasting effect. And so this partnership helps address that need here in Overton County. So we just appreciate any consideration that the committee may have for this
Absolutely.
proposal.
Can I ask you,
Sure.
does the recovery court have any money or anything in any of the grants that you get that could be used for part of this?
No, this was never contemplated. Whenever we applied for our federal grant, we have specific budget line items for treatment, staff, drug testing supplies, those sorts of things. We don't have funding for housing. And I don't believe for our program, I don't think it's actually even possible to ask for that type of funding for what we do.
And it's kind of funny because your money comes from the same place mine does, but she's in the program side. And they asked me to apply because we're a housing provider. So, you know, they asked me, you know, talk to the recovery court. Actually had a friend in Chattanooga that brought it up. So I did, I got to paying attention to the recovery court. So even though it's the same state agency, she gets her money to do this and I get my money to do the development.
Well, mine is actually a federal grant.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
mine's
I'm
a
sorry.
federal
misspoke.
grant, but same concept.
Okay.
I'm sure some of that federal money is flowing down
Yeah,
to the
it's-
state
yeah,
for housing
right.
anyway, but yes, same concept though.
I thought your administrator was mental health and substance abuse. Okay, my apology. I talk too much.
No, you're fine. You're fine, no.
Y'all wanna speak?
Sure. Hi, I'm Sherry Hunley. I'm the Executive Director of CASA of the Tennessee Valley, and this is Ashley Bai. She's our Overton County Coordinator for CASA. We wanted to just find out about the process to apply for funding, but also share a little bit about how CASA is, because I think off the top of my head, if you think of opioid funding for a county, I wouldn't necessarily think of court-appointed special advocates for children who've been abused. My mind might not jump there before I actually worked with CASA. But we are seeing about 80% of the children that we serve across the board in the state of Tennessee are needing, well, to back up, I think you all probably know what CASA is, but if you don't, we provide advocacy for children that have been abused or neglected. And we work directly, we're sworn in and invited into the court by the juvenile court judge. And so he appoints us to a case that he needs an extra set of eyes and ears. And so we serve as a powerful voice for the child who's been abused, who otherwise doesn't have a voice in the court because they're not able to go and speak on their behalf. They're not a legal adult. And everybody else in that process has either a guardian ad litem, an attorney appointed, or they can hire a private attorney. And we don't take the place of an attorney in a child's life, but we give the judge extra eyes and ears on that child's case, and we report back to that judge everything about a child's circumstances. So very often we make recommendations that CASA has observed behavior that might indicate that there is a drug or alcohol issue. CASA recommends drug testing for this parent or guardian or whatever. So we help to catch it early. And so that if that is a factor of why the abuse and or neglect happened, then the judge is equipped to know the circumstances of the parent or guardian that may have an issue. Last year, our program alone, we served 6 counties. So this isn't particular to Overton County, but in our 6 counties, there were 23 children who lost a parent due to drug or alcohol addiction. What we're seeing is, and even some of them we can't track that, but we know that parent, one mother died in the hospital due to heart failure, but everyone on the case knew that she's a young woman, otherwise healthy, and she literally had overworked her body from the misuse of opioids. And so we're seeing that scenario happen really often. So it isn't just necessarily the overdose, the death due to overdose, that we can track those, but there's other children that are affected in ways that when we track the cause of death for that parent, it shows heart failure, but we know why she had heart failure. So the 80% is probably an underestimate of the children that we serve that are affected by either one or both parents addicted. And then I just want to cover, Ashley's been working really hard in Overton County. Last year, we served 23 children with 7 active volunteers, and those are advocates that are volunteer advocates that have been sworn in, for a total of 1,047.25 hours of volunteer hours, and 13,191.5 volunteer miles driven. That is, if Overton County were to have to pay for CASA's services, you could only imagine those hours and the mileage would add up quickly. This year already, you're serving 15 children? Currently, yes. So
Both volunteers.
this year, our numbers will be higher because we are,
Just started.
CASA of the Tennessee Valley expanded into covering Putnam, Overton, and Cumberland counties. So we cover Loudoun, Rome, Morgan, Cumberland, Putnam, and Overton counties now. Under UCHRA umbrella, UCHRA is a fantastic organization, and they do a tremendous amount of good for the 14 counties that they serve. But the CASA program is not necessarily a great fit under programs that have federal grants, because there's some guidelines that you can't always, like, we work heavily with volunteers. And so, a CASA program that is only CASA, our funding does not prohibit us from reimbursing mileage for our advocates. But if you have federal funding, it generally is prohibited. You can only reimburse employees that are paid employees. Things like that. There's a lot of little areas that the counties were having a hard time growing past some of the guidelines. So it just was like a square peg fitting in a round hole. Well, under our program, we only do CASA. That's all we do. So all of our funding, everything is specifically geared for our program. So of course we are able to reimburse mileage for advocates. It costs our program about $1,000 for every advocate that we recruit, train, do the background check. They do 30 hours of training at the very minimum, and then 12 hours additional. It takes a lot of resources and staff time to see that that happens. So retaining those good advocates that are already trained, they're already sworn in, they've already built a trust with the judge, and they know they're seasoned, retaining those people is essential. So being able to do things like reimburse their mileage and allow them so it doesn't become a hardship, especially with gas prices spiking up sometimes, like it did summer before last, almost $5 a gallon. So the CASA in general says that 1 in 3 children that are abused or neglected is due to substance abuse. And you know, in this area, substance abuse typically means opioid abuse. The average age of an individual who uses opioids is early 20s to early 40s. That's kind of the age that you see the highest numbers of opioid abuse. What are those people also doing? They're having children. That's typically the age that we're having children. So with that many people, it's obvious. I mean, you don't have to work really hard to connect the dots and see that our casework would go up quite a bit because of the issue and the age demographic of the average person that struggles with abuse. It costs the state of Tennessee over $8,000 per month for a child that's in foster care. On average, in the state of Tennessee, if a CASA advocate is assigned to a child's case, they will spend a total of 8 months less in foster care, because that advocate being on the job, making sure that we help the parents to work their permanency, although we're not there to advocate for the parent. But if that mother getting housing if that's the one thing that's keeping her from having her children back in reunification, then you can guarantee our advocate is going to do whatever. They're going to help them fill out the paperwork. They're going to help them to know the resources in the community, because we want that child, the trauma of being removed from their parent, and then every time that they're rehoused is a new trauma, and those traumas last the rest of their life. And we don't want another generation of children who grow up to be adults who need to turn to substance abuse in order to get past some of their traumas. So if a CASA is on, one of our advocates, if they're on a case, the child is less likely to be disrupted from a foster home or a guardianship home, which means that they are not transferred back and forth. They are less likely to return back to the system. So the work that the CASA advocate does in helping the judge to make the strongest determination for that child, but also helping that permanent guardian to know the resources in the community and to know how to get the help that they need. All of that work adds up to keeping that child from falling through the cracks, returning back into the system, and we really hope that that child doesn't grow up to repeat some of the cycles of abuse and neglect that they've seen. We want to stop that in its tracks. And a child who has a parent with a substance addiction is between 49% and 79% more likely to struggle with addiction. The reason why I say it's between those two numbers is because there are two major studies that the state of Tennessee, Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth state both of those studies. And so one study said 49%, the other study said 79%. So I would say the truth is somewhere in the middle. But if having a CASA advocate on that child's case in the court system is able to determine that there is an addiction problem, that there is some kind of substance abuse, and to work with the court to help to identify the problem, but get the child the counseling that they need or any other services if they're behind in education. We get all up in their business with the one goal of serving that child the very best, because life hasn't been very good to that child, so we're going to do our best to turn it around, and so that child is a successful, active member of our communities. CASA carries very few cases per advocate. We do that on purpose. Even with our most seasoned advocates, we don't want them to have 25 cases, 75 cases, which that's the range of, in the state of Tennessee, a social worker for DCS, it ranges between 25, 75 cases sometimes that they have. Because we work with volunteers and members of the community, and because we feel like the judge is counting on us to let him know all the facts in a child's life, we want our advocates and our staff carries cases as well as the advocates. We don't want anybody carrying more than 2 or 3. If it's a sibling case, then that we see that as one case with 3 children, and that would be all we would assign to a person, because that's a lot to keep their eyes on. But because of that, we see a huge success rate in what we do. For every child that we serve, it costs our program about $880. Sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less, so that's an average. So with 23 children served last year, I'm not going to do the math off the top of my head because there's a reason I'm not a math teacher. But that's, even though we do work with a small staff and we have volunteers, we still do the highest level of background check that there is available for state and federal for our advocates and our staff, because we don't want I don't want anyone being an advocate for a child that I wouldn't trust with one of my children or my grandchildren. And so we take their training seriously. We take their those background checks and make it and really vetting those people that we work with, because that's our job. We want to be trustworthy. And like I mentioned before, it's about $1,000 out of our program funding for every advocate that we recruit and train and support. support, and retain. And so, if given any of the, if we are determined to receive any of the opioid settlement funding, $0 would go towards salary. We receive a grant from TCCY, Tennessee Council of Children and Youth, and it covers the cost of our salaries. So we're not asking you for opioid money so that I can give Ashley a $10 an hour salary hike, and although she would deserve it, yeah, it would be nice, but we're asking specifically for programming funding so that Ashley can recruit more, train more, support more, and retain all of those that we have and those that we hope to recruit in the next 12 months. So Ashley maybe can answer some of the specific Overton County questions, because I've sort of given you a little bit of a broad of our whole program. And I've talked a lot, sorry.
Have y'all applied in the other counties that you serve to?
We're applying in all
You
of
are
our
applying in all of
counties.
them? I just wonder.
Putnam County
They don't
awarded,
give their money out.
Putnam County, yes, they gave us, and I don't mind to share it with you all, they gave us $10,000
Yeah,
last, well, it was in October.
yeah.
They did their, Loudoun County, I spoke with the mayor 2 weeks ago, and they've not started distributing any of the funding because he's waiting on like a final go-ahead to spend the funding. He said, I don't want to promise it and then maybe something changed, so he's waiting a little bit for the process. All the other counties are somewhere in between, and every county's handling it a little differently.
How we distribute that, I mean, the money we give you, the money that goes to Putnam County, right?
It does,
And
it does.
But you don't carry it to another county, am I right?
No,
Okay.
no. This specific, now, a lot of our funding, if we do a fundraiser, that goes into
The pot,
for everybody.
yeah.
Because certain counties can do huge fundraisers simply because of location, and like we wanna have a bass tournament in Overton County. Well, Morgan County, we couldn't have a huge bass tournament because there's not a Del Hollow or,
Right.
So any of our fundraising goes into the full, but any of our restricted funds, we keep track, I keep track. I say we like I've got a mouse in my pocket. I keep track of those funds and I make sure so any of the opioid money, because it is county specific, will be spent in Overton County or the county that it's designated to.
Right.
So your people that you're training though, would they not cover all those counties that you were talking about? No, they just
No, they're
cover-
sworn in. So we do have a couple of advocates that are sworn in a couple in 2 counties. Morgan County has a very low caseload. Huge county, small population, so they're seasoned advocates. Instead of just not having anything to do, they're willing to work in Roane County. Roane County, usually Roane County will carry, last year it was 100, well, let me double check my number before I tell you that. 114 children served in Roane County last year with 13 advocates, as opposed to Overton County, 23 children with 7 advocates. So some of our Loudoun, some of our Morgan County, but the judge has to swear them in. So they don't necessarily cross county lines unless it's just someone that doesn't have cases and would like to be more active. And then that would be up to Judge Colson if he was okay with swearing them in his county.
Yeah, I could say too, if we had more volunteers, we could serve more, because Overton County's caseload is really
Heavy.
high for a very small population. Like I think last year we saw like 154, 155 cases just coming through the court system, and we can only serve that 23 kids, we would
So
love
right
to serve all of them.
So right now you have to communicate to the judge that,
Yeah,
You
I
don't
have
have-
to
you're not able to
selectively
take the
choose the
case?
cases
Yeah.
that would be best benefited by CASA, and that's a really hard decision to make.
it's horrible. Yeah,
It's-
we don't wanna be
because they all
in
need
that
a
place.
CASA,
Yeah.
You know, but I don't have
And
the
if-
time to go out and find the CASAs,
Right.
if that makes sense.
And if the judge, wants us on a case, we don't wanna ever have to say, we don't have manpower to do it.
We've had to
so-
say that once or twice in the
Yeah.
history of Overton County, and it's
Mhm.
not
No,
fun.
no. I mean, it's not against our policy, of course, if we can't do it, we can't do it, but we're invited into the court to be a friend of the court, and so we want to, if he feels like he needs us on a case, then we wanna be on the case. So, yeah, we've got, some strategies for recruitment. Y'all,
We're hoping to
any
try
of you
out.
in this room got any time? We can get you 30 hours. You'll love working with Ashley. You'll change children's lives.
There you go, throw the
Just-
pitch.
yeah, I mean, yes, we put anybody to work as long as they, are moral, upstanding community member and have a heart for children. And maybe not cuss the judge or something.
Yeah, we try not to do that.
One of the things that we see in Rome, Morgan, and Overton counties is that a lot of the children are placed in guardianship. So a family member will step up. So sometimes it'll look like foster care numbers are lower, but it's because in certain counties that, we take care of our own spirit, that pioneering spirit where this is my family, I'll take care of my family. That still rings true in several of our counties. You see that, and it's commendable. It means that someone with some blood connection to that child is able to step in, and that's important. But of course, reunification with the parent is always our goal, if it can happen.
Any other questions for anyone?
So just to clarify what I thought I heard you all talking about, you're going to come up with an application that we can fill out.
I just made it, and I apologize for walking out, Sherry, but I
I'm
know,
offended deeply.
I work with you guys, so I know all about
I
this.
know, you know
And
who
so-
we are.
That's the reason why I stepped out. And I typed this up and I handed it to them. They can look at it and approve it. We can hand it out tonight. If they approve, what we've got here on the application, it just takes the board approval for the application. That should be fine.
All right. Thank y'all for coming and talking to us. We're gonna look over this application. If y'all need to leave, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine.
Y'all can hang out if you want to, and you can grab one.
If it's okay with you,
It'd be
I'd
fine.
like to, and that way we can get to working on it.
You just can vote to approve that if you look over it. No, I mean, this is just a cut and dry. She would just say that, just a regular application, that's all you need. Cause this would just be going through us anyway.
But what we have, before we start handing them out, we have to publicize it first.
No, you could go.
You can hand them out, you can accept them through such and such date, so anybody can go ahead and pick them up. But the last day is when you stop taking them, that's the date.
You don't have to have a start date.
No, you don't have to have a start, you can start handing them out today and end in 2 weeks or whatever. Whenever we get you 2 weeks in the paper, so if it's already too late for this week to get in the paper, because the paper comes out tomorrow. So we're running the paper next week, so it would be 3 weeks from, it'd be the Friday after next. So it would probably be next Friday would be in the paper, it'd be the 8th, would be 2 weeks in the paper. So if you wanna take it up till 4:30 on the 8th, March 8th, and that's up to you guys. Well, no,
They
No, I'm
only
sorry,
go
the
2 weeks.
15th, I'm
The
sorry, the
15th,
15th. The 15th. And that's up to you guys if that's what you wanna do, cause it'll get out in the paper on the week of the 4th. And it'll run that week and the next week, and at the end of that next week would be the 15th. And our office closes at 4:30 on that Friday, so yous can take it there. And yous have the next meeting on the 18th, which would be perfect, yous can look at the applications.
I think the only things I left out was, things that pertain to, the UCMC, organization, like, is your organization currently located in the UCMC service area?
Well, you would look at the city and the zip code there and see if it's within our county.
So those were the things that I left out that more or less pertain to UCMC.
Can I add, say that, we're taking applications for Overton County.
To serve Overton County.
Well, I make a motion, we approve it. It's
Okay.
pretty well simple,
Let's,
straight to the point.
let's make the motion, on number 4, bring that up in new business in number 5. And
Okay.
then, we'll write that down in number 5, if that's all right to you guys there.
Now, wait a minute, what?
So we're,
We need to close 4 with a discussion of the funds and bring up, any new or old business in number 5 and make this the new business.
I'll
Since
make a
we
motion
added
to
it.
just,
So we don't
Close
have to
the
vote or
funds.
anything, do
the talking of the fund.
The motion on number 4, Jens had a discussion on number 4.
Right.
And so Robin, I'm sorry, Donna made the motion, on number 4, and we did second on number 4, and to vote on that.
I'll second it.
Geraldine,
So the things that we're making a motion on is the application and
the application will be
advertising.
under number 5.
No, that we're just making a motion that we've done all the discussing.
Oh, okay. Right, I
Yeah,
second it.
Jens can accept the application under new business.
Okay.
This is Donna Savage,
Yes.
Ronnie Melton,
Yes.
Charlene Walker,
Yes.
Shane Walker. Yes.
Number 4.
Number 5 is any old or new business. So new business is this application.
I make a motion to accept the application.
I'll second it.
You see anything else that needs to be added?
Just vote on it. Well, if there's any other discussion on that, application, that you see anything that needs to be added or taken away or anything like that, I can fix right quick. But if nothing else, y'all can vote to accept it.
I like it, it's pretty self-explanatory and it's straight to the point myself.
And it's not intimidating.
No,
We'll fill it out.
not like that UT one was.
I'm
As
sorry.
far as, like these organizations that, the ones that are allotted this money, as far as like we talked before, you know, they have to report back and show what they're spending on,
Mhm.
where will that be at? Would they have to like sign and say they'll do that, or?
They'll bring it back here. That'll be under the grant process that they would have to, any kind of money that the county hands out to a nonprofit, they are under, they're under, audit as of how they spend that money, so they would need to bring receipts in.
That'll all be handed out after it's
Mhm.
awarded to.
When it's awarded, that'll be on your paperwork
Gotcha.
of your award, like another grant application deal. So you're awarded this, but you have to report funds. Some of them do quarterly, some of them do annually. it's up to you guys how you just wanna do that, of how the money was spent, where it was spent. But any 501c3 that receives money from, county or city is open to audit by, the state comptroller.
Any other discussion? All right, we'll vote on this. Donna Savage,
Yes.
Robbie Melton,
Yes.
Charlie Walker,
Yes.
Shane Walker, yes. All four of that one.
In new business, Shane will run in the paper for 2 weeks, ending 4:30 p.m. on March 15th. We're accepting applications through March 15th at 4:30, and then yous can review, applications on March 18th on your meeting. Is that all right? On the new business, just, write that down there, just to have it on record. You just wouldn't have to vote on that, just be a record thing.
That's March 15th.
Yeah, we would accept applications through March 15th at 4:30 p.m.
Any other business? Number 6, schedule next meeting, and it's down, like you said, Monday, March 18th, 2024 at 5:15. And number 7 is a motion to adjourn.
I'll make motion to adjourn.
I'll say.
All four, any against?
All right.
Stephen, can you make a few of them copies for these folks out here?
I've got it.
Okay.
Sorry, Ken, you made that, filled out that long.